What up? Welcome to What Up, and we are here with
What up?
Jason. Actually, go ahead, Chris. Do your magic.
Hey, folks, what up? If you don't know Jason Doherty, you should. And we're going to tell you why. You ready? Here we go. What a great story.
Yes, here we go. So Jason is a old friend of mine from high school, and we played football together. We won championships on football field together. Just a funny guy, and just it was always great to be around, and had such a good sense of humor. And you actually brought a lot of people together. A lot of there were some kids. I remember there was a kid who was kind of half of his body was not really functioning and working, and but you just brought so much happiness to his life because you let him play basketball with us, and he became kind of a part of the friends that we did. I'll never forget the kid, and just I saw you do that so many times in high school. And then as you went along and you became, you went on to become a teacher, and I followed you, believe it or not. And, you went on and you were coaching and teaching at a couple high schools, I believe Hogan and Terra Linda High School.
Yep.
And you ended up having this amazing dream that you've had. But I want to start really quick and have you kind of explain to us what it's all about. But also, this is about Kenya, just to go back. I know that when I was in high school, you had gone to Kenya with your family. So I know you'll allude to that when we have this conversation, but you created an amazing school in Africa, in Kenya. And I'm going to kind of let you go and explain to us what happened and what got you going. And then we'll kind of jump in as we need.
Right on. Yeah, please, you guys jump in all over the place because, I can get diarrhea of the mouth. So just shut me down.
Good. Let go.
All right, I'm gonna let go. So you know what? It's funny, Rob. Before we even met, my folks. So I'm the fifth of five kids, and I'm 15 years after the next one. So instead of like the camping trips, they were traveling, like traveling, and we went to Kenya just on like a little cookie cutter safari, just the summer before the eighth grade. And then the next year we went back, and I actually went along with us. Derek Thornhill and his grandmother went with us, and we traveled through Kenya and Tanzania. But it was a very weird thing for me because almost instantaneously from hitting the ground, I had one of those moments where I just knew like I was somewhere that I felt like I was at home. Like, and I'm talking about between the airport and the hotel in Nairobi, belching pollution buses in your face, and thinking like, oh my God, I'm here. Like this is where I want to be, which doesn't make any logical sense. So sort of like everything sort of pointed back there, right? And so we had a lot of fun in high school. We played a lot of sports and had some success. Luckily, I didn't apply myself very, very well in the classroom. But I liked school. I just was preoccupied. And lucky enough that we did our thing, and I was able to go to University of San Diego, and then I was in a car accident. I made a very stupid decision, drank and drove. I was home on my sophomore break, and for Christmas, my family was going through some stuff, and I didn't handle it well as a 19-year-old male, and just tore it up. I was with, actually, I don't know if you remember, Javiz Raisdana and Anthony Van Moppis were at their house party, and it just got tore up. And I ended up putting my truck into an oak tree at like 60 miles an hour, and my leg got crushed. And I looked down, and my leg was in the engine block, and like femur sticking up. Anthony was with me. He broke his nose, had some internal stuff. It was gnarly. It was like 6 months in the hospital. Definitely, my plan had been to go to the Peace Corps, try to get back to Africa. That was totally off the books. And so I went into like severe depression, man. I almost died if it wasn't for good doctors. I went from like 270 pounds to 145 pounds in the hospital.
And I can attest to that. I actually was there. I went and visited Jason at his house. And after that, and he did, Jason was our offensive tackle in high school. And so I saw you there in the front room. I remember you lying down, and I came to see you, and you had lost a lot. You had lost everything. And but what I saw in your eyes was this guy that just was like, I'm gonna win, and I'm gonna make the changes. I'm gonna make things work. And so, obviously you did. And so I'm proud of you for that. But I do remember that. It's definitely big in my mind. And I know it was obviously in yours. You carried that weight for a long time. So, yeah. Sorry for interrupting, but I wanted to make sure I
This is your
that.
show, dude. And I'm grateful. Like when I say, doctors kept me alive, it was doctors and love, honest to God. Friends and family and people just came out of the woodwork. And it's hard to give up when you got a lot of people rallying around you. And so that's a huge thing that I've tried to carry with me, because when that crash happened, everything changed for me. I was sort of, just living your typical male, partying and having fun and doing that. And I should be dead. And so I suddenly had this thought in my head, just in my soul, whatever you call it. If I don't do something with this life, then it's kind of a waste. Right. And so kind of where the two paths crossed was Africa. I didn't know I wanted to be a teacher at the time, but I wanted to get back there. So, after graduating from college, I went to Tanzania, and I hooked on with this old dude that had gotten kicked out of the Peace Corps, and he was teaching out of school, and he was bringing in volunteers. He had wild ideas, and none of them worked, but I got to teach at a school, and I got to see how like kids over there just take education on a whole different level than our kids here, than I ever did. Like we kind of felt like I have to go to school. Over there, you got to pay to go to school. And so like families will sell most of the stuff they have to put one of their kids at the school because it can change your family. And so it just focused me. There was this one time I was tutoring kids, and this guy who had graduated was doing the same thing. He's Tanzanian. And he goes, "Is it true in the US that if you don't go to school, the police will pick you up and take you to school?" I was like, "Yeah, it's called truancy." He's like, here, my brother kept coming back to school. My parents didn't have school fees. Like the guards had to escort him out. Like the police did the exact opposite of that.
Wow.
And it was kind of a wake up, And so I came home and got my teaching credential. I went to Terra Linda, bumped into some of our old football coaches.
Yeah.
Tim Bosky and Bob Calderon, actually. And coached with those guys for a little bit. And then just started teaching history and ended up in Vallejo and coaching up there, and just Africa kept calling. So
how
you guys
so Jason, how did you end up picking where you went, all that kind of good stuff? I mean, what was it that you're like, this is the place, this is what I got to do, we got to do this here now? No offense.
You know what? I had no role in it, man. I'm the universe picked it. I kind of was like Forrest Gump of girls' education. I sort of, I finally told my wife, like, I'm really serious. I want to try and start a school over there. We didn't know it was going to be a girls' school. And what we do is Daraja Academy is a girls' high school for girls of poverty. So girls that couldn't afford to go from 8th grade to 9th grade. Okay. And they face a lot of challenges if they don't, depending on what tribal community they're from, early marriage, girls getting married as early as 11, 12, 13 years old. And if your family's struggling, and they can't send you, they want their girls to get educated. It's not a matter of that. But if they can't send you and you can get, frankly, some livestock in exchange of her hand in marriage, the families often do it. And so it's a big deal to me, because these girls have so much potential. But I didn't pick it. I had lived in Tanzania, so we were going to check out Tanzania for a place to build a school. But at the time, getting into that part of the country wasn't super easy. So we went through Kenya, and we met some amazing people there. That we spent 90% of our trip in Tanzania, but all the beacons were going off in Kenya. Like, this is where things are going to happen. So the next year we went back there, and we came across this abandoned school. We didn't have to build one. There's this movie called The Boys of Baraka that came out probably 20 years ago. And it was like basically an outward bound kind of school for 7th and 8th grade kids. And from inner city Baltimore. So like, you're talking like The Wire, like really, really tough. And they brought him over there, and these kids did really well. But then after 9/11, it was too expensive to keep them there, because American kids at that time, Osama bin Laden was in Sudan in the neighboring country, and so they shut the school down.
Wow.
So Forrest Gump walks into this abandoned school, and we kind of took over the payments, and in 2008, I quit my job here and moved over there and started shoveling bat crap out of the rooms, and dead mongoose out of the out of the bathroom, and trying to get it to be a school.
Wow.
Yeah, you go ahead. Go for it.
So I gotta ask, being the American that I am, do you guys have, or not do you guys have, did you like see lions and gazelles and cobras or anything like that while you were doing all this work?
All the above. Yeah, we drive past zebra when we go to get our groceries. Our school's out in the bush. I've had a hyena in my house. So our house is a weird house, and our bedroom's on the third floor. It's sort of a tower, and so it sucks getting up in the night to let the dog out to take a leak. So we just left the door open, and that's a bad call. We've had several wild animals wander in before we got wise to that one. But yeah, no, we are out there. We have leopards on campus. Hyenas come through.
Wow.
Lions don't want to mess with you. Generally, they want to hang out in the hills. But no, it's wild, man. And I mean, literally, our neighbors are Maasai warriors. You see guys carrying spears with the traditional, dress. It's amazing. It's amazing. Yeah, man, I love it.
That is.
I was having a question. Actually, we were talking a little bit about it before, about the educational standards in Kenya. And then did you have to fulfill certain requirements of education? Now, I know you blow past that. I mean, you stretch beyond what they're doing, and we'll even get into that more. But was there a standard that to open a school there that you had to jump over and reach over and also fulfill for what their requirements for you even to do this?
We had to become a registered NGO, so non-governmental organization. We had to get a school certificate, which actually didn't take a lot. I mean, I was already a teacher, and we had some educators that we met that were with us. But I'll be honest with you, man. So Kenya was a British colony, and at least when we started back in 2009, it's rigorous, man. Our kids from the US would struggle because these girls, high school is taught in English in Kenya, which is all these girls' third language. They grow up speaking their mother tongue, which is their tribal community language, then Swahili, then English. So they're already on the third language. And then, think England 1960s, like it was stand and deliver. You take a ton of notes and you're going to get tested on it. So every kid, just to get into the 9th grade, has to take a 3-day test. And then that determines like what schools they go to. And just to get into college, to get out of high school, you take a 3-week test. And it's intense, man. Like report cards don't mean what they mean here. It all comes down to how you perform in those 3 weeks. You got strep throat, tough. And it's intense. It's pretty intense. We used to have kids come over from here in the US, and they wanted to go tutor and do this kind of thing. And some of our students after a while said, can we not do that? Because I'm pretending like I don't know what she's teaching me. And I'm just wasting a lot of time. I should, our American kids thought that they were enlightening these girls, and girls were kind of ahead of them in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. So speaking on top of that, you probably some of the more proud things on top of that is that a lot of these girls are coming to college in the United States.
Yeah, we got some. We got
selling. I mean, just name some of the universities we're talking about.
So we got girls that we had one that just graduated from San Jose State. There's a girl who's running track right now. It's Iowa State. We had State Department brought 4 over to go to junior college, University of Rochester, Marist College, which is back in New York.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then there's some in England. There's some, you know, actually in Beirut, in Lebanon, at the American school. Yeah, they're all over the place. They're smart cookies.
So you had said something earlier in regards to the families have to pay for the girls to go to school. Now, is there scholarships set up or donations, or how would something like that, how does that work for them?
So we are almost, Daraja is basically the criteria to get in there is that you couldn't afford to go to high school. Okay. So we are essentially a full 120 girls on scholarship.
Wow.
Which is why I live in America now, because we got to fundraise for this. You know, when it was just a couple classes, I could live over there and kind of live the dream. That's what I wanted to do. But no, man, these girls are just kicking ass, and it requires us to hunker down and do more over here.
So let's talk fundraising. I mean, yeah, let's do it. One thing I know I do, and I know it's small, but I do Amazon Smile. So I do your Amazon Smile, whatever I can do, whatever that helps send to you.
It is big.
I know I've done some stuff. You've done some beta breaker stuff that I've thrown some donations to. But what is kind of your main source on where you're looking?
It's everything, man. So we've got Daraja Clubs. I think that's what you're talking about with the beta breakers. If you guys have noticed, Kenyans happen to win that race every freaking time they're in it. And so what we did was we started hooking up with some of their runners, and so we'd have people here. Usually, kids from Drake High School's had a Daraja Club for the last 10 years. Redwood High has one. Marin Academy had one for a while. And then there's some schools down the peninsula. Actually, Jabiza's school over in Singapore does it. And what they do now with COVID, we had to change it. So, obviously they canceled the race, but so everyone just did 10 kilometers on their own. That's why I was doing my thing in my driveway last year.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, it's cool. And what they do is they just get on social media and we connect each person with a girl. So if you two gentlemen wanted to connect with a girl over there and you want to go for a hike with your family for however far, you just get on Facebook or whatever and you say, hey, I'm raising money for, Mary, and you'll know who she is, and you raise $20 or $100, or you'd be amazed. Some kids raise $1,000. It goes right into her scholarship.
Oh my gosh, I love this.
Yeah, it's cool.
Do that.
It'd be neat, man.
You got to.
I'll send you a link.
Great.
Yeah, and we'll make sure that it's on the show. So the link's on our page right now. You guys can join, and you can, everybody join, help support this school, Daraja. And I want to go right to the name. What's it mean? Yeah. Where did you come up with it? And let's talk about that.
Right on. Yeah. So Daraja means bridge in Swahili.
Yeah.
And so basically the way that we saw this was these girls were top of their class. They were driven, they were smart. And then they had reached that canyon, that cliff, and they were not going to make it to the other side. And that's where really the most bountiful part of their life was going to exist once they got this next piece of their education. So we're giving them access to that bridge. And I've said it a million times, but we are not giving them their education. It's hard, man. 4 years, away from home. We got 37 different communities represented, Muslim, Christian, all the above, and it's awesome. They cross that bridge, man, and they fly. You just give them a chance. It's like nuclear energy. They just put it together. I mean, those girls from that first class in 2009 are now nurses and teachers. And, we had this young lady, so we were going to always have 25 girls in the class. Right. It just makes sense in your 100-girl school, but you interview 60, you interview 100. Now we interview about 150, and you got to turn away 9 out of 10, and it kills you. I think of girls that I turned away, 12 years ago. And so, we did all these, we found our 25, and then we remembered there was a girl from just down the road who never came to our interview. What's that about? Let's call. And we called, and her name is Monica. And what it is she's 13, and what it was she had gone to work as house help she basically was working as a maid, about 13-year-old kid, about 100 miles away from home, and she couldn't afford the $3 to get back to the interview.
Oh.
And so we're like, well, I'll tell you what, we ponied in $3. She got there and knocked her socks off, and we became 26 girl class, and then now we're up to 32 because saying no sucks.
Yeah.
It keeps you up at night.
That's a lot to carry.
It's a lot to carry. Yeah.
Wow.
It's why we got to grow and why we're going to grow. We actually just bought some land. We're building a new campus.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Where's that going to be at, if you don't mind me asking?
No problem. I don't know. Do you guys remember about? It's in the same area. So it's probably 20 miles away from where our current campus is. It's still out in the bush. We're on a river. We got 39 acres. But do you remember there was that, like, the last northern white rhino that was dying?
I do.
Yeah.
That's our neighbor. That conservancy is basically 2 miles from the school.
Okay.
Wow.
So
that's very cool because the girls get all the the knowledge of it's an incredible place. They've got all the animals, and it's a really great educational place. Yeah. So we're gonna grow.
I gotta ask two big ones for you. What has been the most difficult thing for you in this process, and then also what's like the greatest moment you've had in this whole thing that you've been going through with Daraja? I know those are big, but
no, it's good.
And maybe you've been asked that before, so hopefully you're not, or hopefully you just dig deep on that. I think that'd be really cool.
Robert, you know me, dude. I'm not gonna hold back. I'll tell you what, in 2012 December, we were 4 hours north of Nairobi, and we were driving down for Jenny's 7-month obstetrics checkup, and we realized that our son was having problems, and so they said, hey, we're going to take him early, we're going to do a C-section. And so we did, and that was a hard weekend. They gave her some medicine to help him grow a little bit, and he was an amazing little guy. His name was Jack Jesse, and he passed at 28 days. And that was brutal. That was brutal. And that could have brought the house down. And what's incredible is these girls saved our lives, man. Because that's what got me out of my cocoon. And you go in a hole with something like that. It was pretty rough. But it was either you got to fake this for a while, or this place is going to close. And we couldn't, that first class of girls was about to graduate, and yeah, we got a healthy little 5-year-old now. He's got too much personality for his own good, and he's got a 350 older sisters.
That's right.
But that was definitely the hardest. That was tough. That was tough. And the greatest victory, dude.
So many, right?
It is. It's a mix of the first day that those girls that didn't think they were going to go to high school every year, when they show up on campus, and it's like, whoa, like, this isn't just high school. This is awesome. It's a super love fest. This place, I think you carry a little bit of you with you, and I just like people, and it kind of bleeds into the school, and we got a community of hugging and just people treating each other with respect, and so it's that when they get there, and then it's like seeing these graduates now that are independent women who no one's telling them what to do, and they just are changing the freaking world.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's awesome. And then every once in a while, one will be like, "Hey, Dad," and then that gets you in the heart.
Oh yeah,
because a lot of them grew up in single homes, and yeah, it's neat. It's cool,
man.
So I gotta ask.
Yeah, go for it.
Because I'm a sports guy.
Yes.
I mean, does the school or the academy have sports for these young ladies, or what do they do? I mean, I'm just curious.
We do. We have one of the best rugby teams in the whole country.
Oh.
And yeah, there's no American football, but we got the next best thing.
What about softball?
No softball, but we do have some cricket equipment, but I don't know how to play it though. But that hasn't been out of the shed in a while. But no, they're really good. You know, what's interesting is we have this empowerment curriculum. I couldn't figure out, like, why are our girls so good at sports? Because they really excel. They stand out. And we don't kind of pick them based on that. And you know, we do have basketball, but they play something that the British and the Australians play called netball, which is a very kind of weird game. There's no backboard. It's just like a hoop. You can't dribble. It's just passing. And but they kick ass. You know, they just win at soccer. They're great at rugby. And this taxi driver was driving me to town one day, and he's like, you know what? They win because they've heard that they can. You know, they just don't often. There's a lot of schools, they don't hear that, and they do. You know, a lot of it's up here.
Oh my! So you know what's interesting is we had a coach, Milt Cerf, and he definitely tried to instill that in us. And I even think Wiley did too. And I think sports are important for those factors. You do learn some lessons you don't see in the classroom. So I think Chris and I are both excited to hear that you do. But more than that is the fact that you said that they believe they can win. That's the biggest lesson I think anybody can learn is that you can, if you believe it, you can achieve it. And you're not only teaching that in the classroom, you're teaching that out in the field and teaching them in life.
But that transcends everything, right? If you believe you can win, and you're already the deck is stacked against you, you're just that much better. And when you get that opportunity to sit down for a job interview, and you're going against some kid that had everything handed to him and was driven to school and by a chauffeur, I'm hiring that kid that scrapped their way out of nowhere. That can look me in the eye and tell me when I'm wrong. And yeah, they just got it, dude. They got that special it. But no, I'll tell you, sports, I learned as much or more from sports. I don't make it through some of the tougher points in my life if I don't have some of that to fall back on.
Yeah, 3
specifically 3 a days would be illegal. You couldn't do it.
Burma Roads in the hill.
Yes. Burma Roads went to Vallejo with me.
Oh, did they really?
They did.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Well, Jay, I mean, honestly, there's so much I could talk. We can only do so much of a show, but I don't know. This one's a special one, man. We go way back. What you're doing is global, and something I think anybody who watches this right now is going to learn a lot. And also, I really want to encourage people to help support Daraja in any way they can. And even in the belief system that you were just talking about, that there's a lot you can do for people that you've done, and that even these girls, I think, have taught you lessons and where they came from and what they've done. And I mean, there's probably a million lessons you've learned, and you know, there's something I talk about, like with my daughter. It's like, hey, you know, I my daughter made me a man. You know what I mean? And I bet your child has done the same, as well as all these girls. Like you said, you have all these daughters. So I thank you so much. I know Chris, right? I mean, this has been amazing conversation. I mean, I don't even know where to go with this. I'm proud of you. Thanks, I thank you. And I'm so excited to see where you're going to take it from here.
Right on.
Jason,
I appreciate that.
Thank you for allowing us to do this interview with you. I really appreciate it.
Oh man, forget about it. No humility here. We're just 3 guys talking stuff.
That's right, brother.
So, I'll keep it clean. Anyway, I love you, Rob. Take care. Okay.
I love you, Jay. And I'll catch up with you. I'll come see you, man.
Nice to meet you, Chris.
Hey, nice to meet you too. You take care.
Right. Thanks a lot.
Bye. Bye-bye.